So, hey everyone, hi. My name is Abhishek Pradhan. I'm a trainee decision scientist at Mu Sigma. And today we are going to talk about Ideathon. Now, what is an Ideathon exactly? Now, Ideathon, now before I start about explaining about Ideathon, I would like to ask the people in the panel, have do you guys have any information about what an Ideathon is? Arman, would you like to start up? Okay, I
Urban, your network may be bad.
Taskin,
Okay.
you can take over.
Yeah, Tuscan, you can take up.
So it is an event where people develop their ideas.
Okay. Anything else that you'd like to add up?
So
So,
that's all I know about that.
Ideathon is a kind of program where everybody came up together and tried to solve a problem together and create new ways to solve it.
Okay, close enough. No, whenever you don't know about something, try to find the meaning in the word itself. Now, what does an idea means? Idea can be an approach. And ideathon. So means you are racing against something in order with your ideas. Okay. So you're racing against people to solve a solution. Oh, sorry, to solve a particular problem and provide a solution. Okay, so moving on. The agenda of this call, we have the very first thing that we'll be talking about is what is an ideathon? What is the difference between ideathon and an hackathon? Now, the reason this is important because you need to understand what is the key line difference so that it doesn't turn out to be an hackathon. Okay. Then the flow of actions that you need to take, you need to keep in your mind while getting into an hackathon or organizing an hackathon, say organizing an ideathon. Next, we have the key do's and don'ts. Next is the judging criteria. Now, this judging criteria, right, is quite, I have kept it quite general. Now, that can be subjective based on the theme that you are practicing or you have taken. Then in the final, we'll be having questions. If you guys have any questions which you'd like to discuss about, please feel free to ask me. Okay, starting off, what is an ideathon basically? Now, ideathon is a collaborative brainstorming event. Now, highlight the word brainstorming here. So, what you need to do is you need to collaborate with your team members and find a solution to a particular problem. Now, this problem can be a theme related or can be a real time problem. Okay, now theme related when I say can be a particular industry, or a practical problem can be, let's say, the network issues, the current network issues that we are facing in many areas. So, what can be a solution to it? Then, what is the purpose of organizing such ideathons? Well, it is to inbuild the creativity. Present day, we all understand that AI is taking over. So, all the laborious work has been taken over by the new AI tools. So, what is left? Creativity. Now, creativity is something which cannot be learned by the AI entities. So, it is up to us to be more creative. As we move on with the evolution of technologies, the creativity should also keep up to that phase. Okay. Then solve challenges through teamwork. Now, this is really challenging because implementing our individual ideas are easy, but collaborating it with others, making others follow the vision that we think is again is a ability of a leader. Now, this is also an inbuilt aspect of why ideathons are generally organized, because it will teach you how to collaborate, also how to keep your individual ideas, and at the same time incorporate adaptability. That is what another aspect of ideathon actually teaches you. Next is explore and validate impactful ideas. So we have problems. Every action in our day-to-day life is actually a problem. So what is your approach? How can you effectively understand? Can you find those problems, and how will you tackle those problems? Is what is Ideathon about. Then coming about the outcomes, yeah, your idea will be tested based on its feasibility, on compatibility, and various judging parameters, which will then decide is your idea really eligible to go into the real world or not. Any doubts? Okay, moving on. So these are the key differences between Ideathon and Hackathon. So basically, in hackathons, what we do is we build problems and try to find solutions to them. Here in hackathons, solutions problems may or may not be given to you, but in Ideathons, you are again finding the problem, but that problem may be specific to a particular domain. It may not be directly precise. In hackathons, precise problems are given, but in Ideathons, the problem may not be that precise, but your result or approach should be precise. Okay, now here there is a very thin line to understand. Hackathons, they will give you a problem statement. Everything will be given to you. That is the key difference between a hackathon and ideathon. Hackathons will provide you with the problem statement, and they will give you a particular constraints. Okay, these are the constraints. Generally, that's how hackathons work. You work with constraints. They want to see if you are adaptable to it. But in ideathons, you have the freedom of choosing whichever approach you feel like, because it's all about ideas. Then the duration, generally hackathons are longer when compared to ideathons. Okay, and emphasizes the emphasis is also different when it comes to hackathons. People mostly consider about they majorly focus about your technical skills, your coding skills, your product development skills. But when it comes to ideathon, people have the versatility of choosing different ideas, different approaches, different methodologies of how can they solve the problem. Okay, here major objective is given to solve the problem, not selecting a particular approach then solving the problem. Okay, so this is a very narrow differentiation which you need to keep in mind, because in ideathons you have the liberty of using whichever approach you feel like, and it is that different approach which will lead you to victory, or which will make you stand out from your competitors. Now, this is generally the workflow of how Ideathon goes or proceeds. At first, you need to have proper team formation. Now, team formations, now depending on the rules that you have set, so team formation might differ. So if you have the liberty of choosing a team, try choosing people from various domains, because Ideathon, right? It's not just about finding proper solutions. It's also about pitching your ideas in a proper manner. What is a problem? What is the knowledge which cannot be expressed properly? It goes vain. So make sure you have people from various domains so that they can help you in the end path. So basically what you need to do is you need to find a person who is good in the art of problem solving. Second, he is good in presenting. And then third, you need to find somebody who is good in technology in making presentations. When I say presentations, I'm not limiting myself to just PowerPoint presentations. There are various AI tools which is available throughout the web, which you can leverage. And that will actually make you stand out, because we have done something different from the traditional methodology. Now, that is again the concept of Ideathon. Then you have to have a pre-event training. Now, what is this pre-event training is you need to explore. Now, let's say there are various forms of organizing Ideathon. The very first form is the problem statement is already given. The problem statement or the domain is already given to you, and you find and you can have time of researching in the field, then solving it. The second form of Ideathon is when you are given the problem or the domain right at the very moment as you join it. So they want to check your instantaneous art of thinking. And in the third form, you can select your problem statement from your domain. Okay, that is the three forms of ideathons. Now, based on the way you are organizing it, you can follow any three models, any of the three models you feel like. Next, we have understanding the problem statement. Now, this is crucial. Einstein says if he had 1 hour, one last hour in his entire lifetime, he would say he would spend 99 minutes of it just to understand the problem and spend that last 1 minute to solve it, because this is where we go wrong. Understanding, we are not able to understand what the problem actually says, what is the need of the problem. So if you are understanding the problem effectively, you are sure, you're clear what it actually wants, you half of the work is done. The next thing is you just have to gather up resources, implement the plan. So understand the problem. And when I say understand, keep yourself in that position and think, okay, this is the scenario. What would I have done? Okay, and don't try to replicate previous problems or previous solutions. That is again because many will be doing the same. So how will you stand out from that traditional chain? So here, make sure you understand the problem effectively, and you are sure you're just note down what is your desired output. That is crucial. Any doubts till now? Okay. Next is brainstorming. Now, brainstorming here basically tells you about thinking on different approaches. You are clear with what your solution is, what is your desired output. Now you need to think this what resources can help me to achieve that objective, because many times the problem may demand something which needs to which is not there in the market, because the problem is a problem. That is why it is a problem, right? Because it's not yet solved. So you need to find something, a different approach, how you can solve that particular problem. So you need to start thinking out of the box, create new ideas, implement trial and error. That is what this brainstorming talks about. Now, this brainstorming also tells is not supposed to be done by individual alone. It has to be done in a team. Now, this is because when you read a problem statement, you will have one scenario kept in your mind. Now, I believe the problem with many is when you get that first impression of a problem statement, that remains static, and you continue that throughout your problem. This makes the problem really rigid. So what you can do is you can discuss in your team. This is the problem statement. Now you will get, if a team is of five, you will get five different approaches to that particular solution. So you can coordinate, you can negotiate with your friends. Okay, this my problem state, my solution is effective in this grounds. So take the most optimal aspects of each solutions and then club it so that you get a final solution which is actually adaptable, and it's actually practical in the ground basis. And this will also help you have a proper team coordination and team support, because many of the problems, many of the hackathons or ideathons fail because of the lack of coordination within the teams. So brainstorming is again an important aspect. Make sure you coordinate with your team members effectively. Next is design and implement. So once your problem is understood, you have worked on your resources, you have sorted out, okay, this is the resources and this is how I have, this is how I'll move ahead in solving the problem. Next is you design and implement the plan. Now, this basically is done by creating a mind map. You create a mind map of how you jot down the points. Okay, this is my action plan. This is what I need to do. Now, this is because once you reach to the, let's say you're in certain phase of phase two, and you have no idea what to do next. So again, retracing your tracks becomes easier when you have a mind map, or else you'll just go vain and you are not sure what to do. So make a mind map and implement your design. Next, we move to the sixth point, which is evaluate feasibility. Now, major problems with hackathons is people start imagining a lot of impossible tasks. Since it is all about ideas, there is no limit to ideas, but that is where many people make mistakes, because they think the impossible, which is not practical. Hmm? And that is why their proposal gets rejected. So make sure what idea you are suggesting is feasible enough to be accepted by the corporate norms, by the government norms, or the embody that you are targeting. Your targeted audience are able to accept your idea. So make sure it is feasible. And by feasible, it's not about just financial, it's also about the conceptual acceptance. People should accept that idea. Okay. Now, moving on to the seventh point. Now, seventh point might be optional, depends on your domain or the problem statement that you have selected, creating development prototypes. Now, if your problem statement is complex and you really want to explain it in detail and make the audience understand, so I believe prototype is really effective. But yet again, if you feel making prototype is not the right domain for your problem statement, you can actually skip this. This is optional. From statement 7 is optional. Then prepare the presentation. Now you have all your ideas, all your solutions all planned up. Next is the art of presenting, documenting. Now, art of documenting is also important because you need to know, you need to be sure of what you need to present to the audience. Uh, you might think just presenting everything what we have done might be effective, but no, because not everyone is patient enough to listen or to read all your documentations. So when you're presenting, make sure you only keep what is essential, only keep the most important ones. So and this will be your judging factor for your entire hard work you have done till now. Because if your solution is good and your presentation is not able to deliver that solution to the audience, it's not going to work out. So it has to be a proper balance of problem solving and presentation skills. Next is rephrase and refine. So once you are done with your draft, generally in ideathons you have mentors whom you can consult to before going to the judging round. Or else, if you don't have mentors, then before presenting, make sure you QC it again before presenting. Now, QC stands for quality check. You have to make sure, because the person who is creating the PPT might have done a small grammatical mistake, and that may not sound that big, but it actually is a big black patch in your professionalism. Because if you're in the AI world, you're not supposed to make any grammatical mistakes because you have so many tools available. Then why will there be a grammatical mistake? So that will actually, even if your project and presentation is amazing, but if you have a grammatical mistake, that's a complete no. Okay, so make sure you quality check it before presenting and check if it is actually feasible enough, if it's actually good, and the contents in the presentation is sufficient, is delivering to the point, and is not vague. Okay, it shouldn't be vague, it shouldn't be running around the bush, it should be pointing to the solution that you want. Then is the final pitch. Final pitch is basically when you present your solution, present your deck to the audience or the judges. Now, this is where they will ask you different questions, ask you scrutiny basically about your problem statement. Why have you selected this domain particularly? If you are given an liberty to choose your own domain and problem, there might be a question where they will ask you to ask such a question: why did you choose only this domain? So make sure you give a diplomatic answer. And it's not only the responsibility of the one person who is presenting to answer everything. It has to be a teamwork. Everyone in the team should participate and should answer the questions of the judges. That is how it will show everyone has played their contribution. And that is, again, one of the judging criteria. Any doubts till now? I'm asking again because this is quite a vast topic. The 10 points are quite vast. Any doubts? Any points which you feel I need to repeat again?
Can you define feasibility?
Okay. Now, feasibility is basically you have an idea. Now, is that idea good enough to be implemented or not? Now, let's say ki I have you want you have created an idea and you want the approval of the government, or you want some data which the government has, which is sophisticated and which is not to be shared to common public. Now that is not a feasible idea because you approaching to the government and the government sharing you the data is not practical. So the solution that you give should be accepted in the practical norms. Also, the solution that you give should be accepted by your targeted audience. Now, if you're focusing on particular audience, your problem statement revolves around a particular audience, the solution that you propose should be accepted by them. That's what feasibility means. Okay.
Okay.
In simple words, does it really work? That's very simple. Okay, you understood?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on. The key do's and don'ts. In do's, we need to build diverse, balanced team. Yeah, making selecting a proper team is really important because if you only have people with proper communication skills and no problem solving skills, that will won't lead you anywhere. So having proper balanced team is the number one priority. Then research about gaps in existing solutions. Uh, New solutions need not to be found again because any solution which is existing, there's always a loophole because of the continuous evolution. So if you find that particular gap and that particular loophole, half of your journey is done and that can be proposed as a different solution. Okay, so make sure you're finding the gaps or the loopholes which is already available in the existing model. Now, this will also help the people to accept your proposed solutions. So this is a model which is already existing. Now, so people are using it, but this is the loophole. So they will say, okay, this is a better version of this existing model. So they did not think, okay, they need to start from the square one, convincing the audience to use this solution. There's no risk of adapting. It's already existing. You're making improvements. So that can be another format of building a new solution in Ideathon. Next is focus on feasibility and societal impacts. Yeah, it has to, as I said, it has to work. It has to be accepted, and it has to deliver what is asked. Okay, if your problem statement and your solution doesn't match, that makes no sense. Then use clear visuals and structured approach. This is because what you have thought, you need to deliver, you need to make the other person in front of the judging panel to adapt or to accept what your approach is. So that can be done by proper visualization and proper structure approach. Next, we have practice and refine your presentation. Now, presentation, I'm emphasizing on three major concepts: your problem solving, your feasibility, and your presentation skills, because these three factors are the ones which are actually gonna have an impact, and these will be the three major judging factors. Next, we have implement the mentor's feedback, the feedback that you get from your mentor or from your fellow team members. You need to incorporate that. Then think creatively and uniquely. What you are thinking should be creative enough and should be uniquely it should be unique. Having an existing model, again, we are not solving the objective of the ideathon totally. So it has to be unique, something out of the box, and something which is acceptable. Now, complete don'ts are avoid vague or impractical ideas. Don't go to imaginary ideas which is not practical in the ground level. So always give to the point solution and which is accepted and which can be achieved. Don't dominate team discussions. Now this is important because end of the day, the outcome of your project depends on how well you're coordinating. So if you're dominating your friends or your fellow team members, that will create a chaos, and end of the day, you will end up with nothing. Avoid skipping feedbacks. So the feedback that you are given by your the judge panel or the mentors, make sure you incorporate it, because that is what will actually elevate your project or your idea. Okay, don't miss deadlines and guidelines. If there is a particular deadline or a guideline given to you, make sure you don't miss out, because these might be small little things, but it is because of such silly things that people have missed out a huge opportunity. Then avoid overcomplicating solutions. Now, when we have the liberty to think, we generally overcomplicate it. The problem might be simple. The solution also might be simple. But in order to make it look more fancy, we overcomplicate it. So make sure you avoid that. And moving on to the judging criteria. Now, as I said, these judging criteria are mentioned in the general terms. We can be specific based on the specificity of your ideathon. So in general, we have novelty. This actually tells about the uniqueness of your approach or your solution. So your solution has to be unique and it has to be not let's say it has to be something different, because that is where your creativity comes into picture. That is where your creativity actually shines. Then complexity. Um, by complexity, I believe it should be not complex enough so that people can understand, because the solution that you propose, if the judging panel is not able to understand what you're proposing is or is not accepting it, then all your hard work is totally vain. So make sure you're keeping your solution simple and explaining it in a simplest term yet professional possible. Okay. Then clarity. Be clear in what you are delivering. Be clear in what you're solving. Clarity is important. Okay. Then we talk about progression. Now, is your solution adaptable to the existing model? Now, if you find a gap in an existing model and you try to build a different solution, now is that solution actually being accepted by the people, or will it be used in the further coming models or further coming approaches or not? So is that scalable? Can it be implemented? Can it be adapted or incorporated in already existing models? You need to make sure of that, because if it is scalable, there is a good chance that your approach will be selected and it will be taken in consideration really fast, because people need not adapt to a new system to it. Then we have about feasibility. Again, yes, your model is working in the practical grounds, yes or no? It's about feasibility. Then impact. Now, what impact is it creating on the audience? That needs to be taken into picture. Is it actually solving the problem, and how impactful is it? Is it a long-term impact? Is it a short-term impact? You need to make sure. So generally focus on problems which will have a long-term impact, so that your solution will be having more weightage, stating that okay, this model or this solution will last in the for the coming up decades. Okay. Then it's about creativity. How creative or unique is your idea? How creative, how out of the box you're thinking? All that will also be considered. And the relevance. Is your solution or a presentation aligning to the objective, aligning to what is desired from you, from your problem statement? This 8 factors will be are generally what is considered as a judging criteria in an idea. Okay. Okay, fine. By this, we complete the basic framework of how ideathons are organized and how the proceeding goes. Any questions?
That progression,
Okay,
previous panel
progression is now let's say you have created a model, you have created a solution. Now, is that solution scalable? Can this be implemented to a large variety of people? For example, let's say if you have a targeted audience of youngsters, can your solution be also implemented to the mid-age people, like for people who are in 30s and 50s? Can your solution work? So if it is scalable, then your targeted audience also grows, and your financial domain also will increase. So if you're not only building your approach to a limited audience, it can be adaptive. In simple terms, progression means adaptability. How well is your model adapting? If I introduce a new change, or if I make your model fit in a different environment, will it work? How adaptable it is? Okay. Anything else?
One example I want to give here for progression, Arman. Recently there was news about Tupperware products. So they really give very good products, The problem is once a customer buys it, they don't want they don't need to buy the second time. The longevity of the product is really good. And like one time they're selling. Actually, in business, you cannot sell for one time because your business will end.
Mm.
So either you need to be creative enough to bring in new products, new designs. Otherwise, make sure your product has, expiry date. Then the people will buy it again. So recurring purchasing, that they have to take care. You got it? Even automobiles or maybe mobiles, they may be really good, but they have expiry date. Like, they make sure that customer comes back to them, even the spare parts, whatever it is, regular services or upgrading the tools, whatever it is. So they keep doing it. And even, India is trying to bring in a policy like scrapping the vehicles which are more than 10 years or 15 years. And people are not ready to accept it because, Indians purchase a vehicle and they keep it for lifetime. So how to make the people buy again? So that is the big problem here. So progress is something, does it progress in the future or does it stop with one solution? So usually anything you bring into this world should have progress. Otherwise, your business or your idea is going to be stagnant. That won't be growing further.